Prusa XL that is making a big mess, the Qidi Q1 Pro being more than just shocking, and Zombie Hedgehog having some issues with his brand new Prusa Mark IV. All this and more, PrintFix Friday, episode 133. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here and you're struggling with your 3D prints, don't forget, we are here to help. You can reach out to us on all the social medias, use the hashtag PrintFix if you want to tag us in something, and if you prefer, you can email us directly, youtube@3dmusketeers.com, as our goal with this series is to help you get back to printing with purpose, almost 3 years deep. We have some interesting issues for you today, but we're going to start off with a Prusa XL that made a huge pile of garbage. Take a look at this. That's a very impressive blob of doom. I want to be clear here. That's an impressive blob of doom for it to look like this. The printer made a huge mess all over the place, and things just didn't go very well. The average person would say, there's problems. No. So I would say we should be checking our print settings and checking our filament. They sliced for PLA, but the filament was PETG. Looks like 200 millimeters a second at 225C is too fast for PETG. Who would have thought? That is exactly why this first layer looks great, because you can generally run PETG a little bit cold if you're not going too fast, but eventually it started to string and make a big mess. What we can see here is we're doing okay, and then all of a sudden it starts to string. This is because we are running out of flow rate. We're running out of heater, right? When the printer's moving a little bit slower, it can heat up that filament just enough to get it to stick. But then you heat it up too much and it doesn't work. Unfortunately, at some point, it just gets really bad and creates that big blob. It's interesting because the XL should not let you do this. If you loaded the filament correctly and you told it that it was PETG, it would not start a print knowing that it has PETG loaded in that head. It would ask you to switch things around. So likely what happened here is they loaded a spool of filament that they thought was PLA and was actually PETG. I've had this occur as well, and if you've been printing long enough, you've likely had it happen to you. It will basically happen to anybody that does do 3D printing at some point or another. It is okay. This one does suck because it's a big blob of doom, but it's why we say if you're going to run big prints, don't leave your machines unattended. RXL is right there, and it's running currently right now. I don't really leave it unattended. It's pretty happy doing its thing, but I'm also not running at 200 millimeters a second either. We're running much slower. But hilariously, we're running some Polymaker, which is the brand that you were running as well. You're running Polymaker. Those are Polymaker spools. We're running their PLA Pro right now, and I have to print it at like 240C to get good adhesion. So even 225 might be a little bit low depending on the material that you're using. But this should really explain to people that you do absolutely have to be certain of what filament you're putting on and what its temperatures are. It's actually why behind me, the carts that are back there, which are still one of my favorite ways to store filament. We did a video on them a while back. They're from IKEA. They're called the Veskin carts, and they are incredibly cheap, and they store a ton of filament. We'll card to that video so you guys can take a look. I still segment it. Like the first two carts there, those are exotic materials. Those are not PLA, not PETG. Sometimes it's ABS and ASA, but normally those materials are being printed on specific printers designed for those materials. Then we go into PLA, and then right basically behind my head is when it transitions to PETG, and the last cart is a mix of PETG and ABS. That is how we know from a glance what we're picking filament from. Because if we pick the wrong stuff, we're gonna have a problem. Get a good inventory control system, right? It doesn't have to be something like QR codes and all that. It can be as easy as it's on the right carts. I still always verify, because it's happened to me too, but in most cases, it's not generally an issue. So, bit of a bummer. Sucks. This blob of doom is going to be a real pain to get off the Prusa XL. Give it a shot. You have nothing to lose at this point. She's pretty damaged. Next up, Zombie Hedgehog is having some issues with his Prusa Mark IV. We can see his Prusa here is on the left. FlashForge 85M is on the right. It might be the 85M Pro. And we have some issues. Zombie's been having a hard time with his Prusa. He had a bad first layer, which actually resulted in some pretty damaging stuff here. It doesn't really appear that the nozzle dug into the build plate, but the build plate definitely needs to be cleaned off with some sort of like solvent or something to get rid of that. This is unfortunately likely because the nozzle had some crap on it that it didn't 100% clean off in the wiping routine. and that caused this failure. I don't like to see that kind of stuff because, yeah, it's a Prusa. It should just work. But when you deal with, machines that just boop the bed, that use, a physical nozzle bed probe where you're using a load cell, if your nozzle isn't perfectly clean, you're gonna have a problem. Those keen-eyed among you will notice something is different about Zombie's machine. He has reprinted all of the printed parts, and as I talked to him, and thank you, Martin, by the way, for tagging me in this, I said, given that you printed your own parts, yes, it's a possibility that your lead screws were not perfectly aligned. Are Prusa's printed parts the prettiest? No, they're not, and they're not trying to be, but they're optimized to work with their machines. I'm glad he got it resolved, and yeah, we're gonna get this thing in the Friday show. This is kind of the problem when you reprint parts on other machines. You'll notice behind me that every one of our Prusas has a different accent color, but none of those accent colors are mission critical components. They're not going to affect the way that things are done. But when you deal with a machine with dual Z lead screws that are driven the way that the Prusas are driven, if for some reason you have one of your lead screws canted a little bit, or the motor's not as tight as it should be, you're gonna get wiggle. This is part and parcel of, unfortunately, wanting to print your own colors. And I would guess that Prusa's done a very good job at making sure that while their parts aren't the prettiest, they do just work. I hate to say it, because I really do like this color combo, right? That purple, real pretty. But if it doesn't perform well, who cares? And if you do have lead screws that aren't somehow aligned properly, that could also result in that bad first layer. Zombie also apparently doesn't know about the Prusa chat support. He said the live chat has been 2+ hours wait, so he'd prefer a quick email. But Prusa, a 2+ hour wait, that's a long time. Let's check Prusa right now. If we check their chat support right now, we're looking at about a 30-minute wait. And so, yeah, it can be over 30 minutes. And yeah, it can suck to have to sit here and wait for it. But it's going to be a lot faster than emails. Prusa doesn't really do emails, in my experience. I don't know. I'm a chat support guy. I've always liked it. If I got to wait 30 to 45 minutes, it's no big deal to me. I get it why you're used to doing it with email, but if you could get it done in 2 hours versus getting it done in 2 days, what's the better move? But yeah, it's a bit of a bummer. And now that he's got it figured out, it looks a lot better, right? This is what I would expect from a Prusa. It's a clean print. It's not the fastest printer. It's not the quietest printer, although gosh, the XL is quiet with that new phase stepping firmware, which we will card to that video. I had such a hard time trying to film it. It is insane how much quieter this machine is now. This is my Q1 Pro. Let's take a watch.
Don't exactly know what's going on with the Qidi Q1 Pro, but no. That's cold. It says it's not. It says it's 60C in the chamber, and it is very much not. So it looks like she froze on us there. Well, that's no good.
So this actually happened to me a couple of times with the Qidi Q1 Pro. And yes, I am aware of the issue with the chamber heater. I agree with Mandic really here that this was a cost-cutting measure that Qidi did to get the printer to be incredibly affordable. And instead of using a 24-volt DC heater like they did on the X3 series, they decided to do one that was mains voltage. And in doing that, they didn't actually go through any of the proper safety protocol and procedures needed. Is it that big of a deal? You're going to have to weigh that out on your own. It's not a fire risk. It's a shocking risk technically, but I also don't know why you would ever be in the back of your printer going through a fan grill. Mandic actually did a great job of, he built a new fan grill for it, he released it, and if you wanted to print it, you should use like a fire retardant filament of some sort. That way it can handle the heat. But yeah, I'm on the fence about it. I definitely think that they need to fix it because this, I believe, violates EU protocol when it comes to selling a product. But we will see. Qidi Tech has been somewhat wishy-washy on their response. But for me, it's not about the chamber heater. It's about the prints failing random and for no reason, and the machine completely locking up on me. And what I found out is, go figure, the USB stick that it came with is absolute garbage. I replaced it with a name brand, and so far I've been printing the same file over and over and over again, and it works just fine. No issues whatsoever, prints beautifully, love it. Yeah, considering how good the Kioxia drive that they provided with the X Plus 3 was, this NetTac drive that is absolute garbage. It doesn't work. This was upsetting to see, and I wasted 2 prints doing this. Thankfully, it's not a ton of filament because the machine ends up just, you know, stopping. But I don't think that should ever happen. It's like Clipper also kind of crashed. The only way for us to actually resolve the issue was to completely power cycle the machine and try again. All heaters are turned off. It's like the machine just stopped running for some reason. It's on a UPS, so I know it didn't lose power, and we don't have any notion of power loss. It's why we've said on more than one occasion, don't trust the drives that come with your printers. Just get new ones. They're not expensive, it's cheap insurance, and of course, I wanted to test a machine the way that it was sent to me, and unfortunately, we can't do that because the USB drive is garbage. Thankfully, it's a cheap thing to fix. It was less than $10 to get one in. But as far as the chamber heater goes with the Q1 Pro, I don't really know where I sit here. I believe they need to fix it, but I don't think they have to issue a recall. I think providing a user installable fan duct that keeps people from being able to touch it would be sufficient. It's not a fire hazard. And as long as the heater is not active, it's not a shocking hazard either. When the chamber heater is not on, it's not live. So at least there's that. It's not like the Bamboo A1 where it is going to fail and the plastic parts that they had you print would only make the failure go into other areas. Yeah, that's totally true. And we'll card to that video so you guys can take a look because, of course, that's what happened. We called it when they first did it. Moving on to a printer that is actually also a fire hazard, but not for the same reason. We have a Prusa MK4 here. Says, if it's glowing red hot, that means it melts plastic extra good, right? User saying, I took apart the hot end of my Prusa MK4 to deal with a clog. When I put it back together, once I tried heating it up again, it started glowing and smoking. What could be causing this? We have thermal expansion that's occurring. So when they tightened everything back down, it is likely that the heater itself pulled out when it got hot again, right? The metal expanded, it was no longer tight. So it pulled out. This is why when you rebuild hot ends, you should always do it under temperature. Because when you have it at temperature, when you're tightening everything down, it's a hot tight rather than a cold tight. Hilariously, the machine did not detect this failure. And I think it should have. It looks like at least part of the heater is still inside of the heat block, so maybe it didn't. But this is definitely something that if you are going to be servicing your 3D printer, no matter what brand that it is, you should always be mindful of this because it can and will start a fire if it is left unattended. So kudos to the user for finding it, and 92 comments show you done messed up AA, Ron. Son of a... Thankfully, hot end's not broken. Heck, the heater's actually probably fine too. Just shove it back in. Be careful when you do this. You can do it when it's still hot. Please don't. It should go back in when it's cold just fine. If you need to, put it all together when it's cold. Use a pair of pliers to basically pull the part of the V6 down to crush it a little bit. That should keep the heater from coming back out when you tighten the screw down. The V6 is a bit of a pain to service, and that's why E3D has the Revo for those that don't want to deal with this servicing nightmare. And in fact, E3D just dropped the price of the Revo considerably. So if you've been waiting to get a Revo system for your printer, no matter what printer it is, now is the right time. They have permanently dropped the pricing. They have made it so much easier to get Revo parts. I love it. I've loved the Revos. They're not the highest flowing unless you get the high flows. They're great hot ends. You always have to make sure that you screw them in well, but they've always been so obtusely expensive that it's been difficult to always recommend them. And so now you don't have that problem. And oh yeah, they have the fun warranty where if you screw up and you break a hot end because you didn't screw it in all the way, they will cut you a 50% discount. That is super cool. I love to see that because you know what? They realize that a little bit of financial loss to do goodwill in the community is 100% worth it, and I'm here for it. Good job, Team E3D. And I'm looking forward to catching up with you guys at the Rocky Mountain RepRap Festival, where we will be in what? Just under a month. So if you want to come say hi to us, if you want to come take pictures, see what it's like from behind the camera when we're filming, come find us at the Rocky Mountain RepRap Fest. We're going to be in at least one of the talks that are happening throughout the weekend, but otherwise you'll be roaming all weekend filming with some of your favorite companies. And if you guys want to see us film with any of the particular people at the Rocky Mountain RepRap Fest, let me know in the comments down below. We will link to the entire list in the description. So if you do want to see who is going to be going to the Rocky Mountain Rep Fest, who's going to be there to exhibit. Let me know who you want us to film with, because we would love to do it. We already got deposition sound set up. That is going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to hearing some more 3D printed audio stuff. And yes, we're going to be doing one on the channel. I'll give it away to you guys. We're doing one on the channel, and it's going to be awesome. This one comes from STL Denise. Denise is working on a really cool art project with 3D Print Bunny, and they are going to be debuting it at the Rocky Mountain Rep Fest, and they need your help. It is very MC Escher style, and I love it. I kind of love the Escher styling, and 3D Print Bunny is an amazing artist. In fact, we talked with her at the Sanjay Mortimer Rep Fest. We'll card that video so you guys can take a look. She is absolutely brilliant. The way that her mind works to make those string objects and can just design stuff like this, it warms my heart. I love seeing her work. This project is designed for the Sanjay Mortimer Foundation, and it is going to begin at the Rocky Mountain Rep Fest. You can make it out of whatever you want. Any material, PLA, ABS, TPU, heck, resin print it if you like. They ask that it is all within a shade of blue. The color represents unity and harmony for our maker community, and you are welcome to sign or imprint on the back piece, but please keep the font original as 3D Print Bunny designed it. So like, don't remove any of the stuff on there. And if you don't have any blue filament, you can paint it, which is super awesome. And well, what they're going to be doing is building and collecting all of this, with it finally being unveiled, all of the pieces, at Smurf in Manchester, in England, December 7th and 8th, 2024. Once it's all done, it's going to be auctioned off live at Smurf, and all of the money is going to support the Sanjay Mortimer Foundation. So you, yes, you, the regular old maker out there who might be going to events or is actually willing to ship things, you can participate and help raise money for the Sanjay Mortimer Foundation. In fact, I want to help raise money as well. And so I've got some ideas, but I want to work with you all, the community, to do whatever we can to raise money this year for the Sanjay Mortimer Foundation. Last year, we raised over $6,000 US by shaving my head. It was awesome. And if you didn't get to take a look at it, we'll card to it so you guys can take a look. I look like an absolute buffoon, but it was 100% worth it. And thank you to everybody that donated. It was incredibly awesome. We raised over $6,000 US for the Sanjay Mortimer Foundation. It was the second highest item that went, my hair. And of course, we did end up donating that hair to the Little Princess Trust in the UK. We were only beat out by the Voron Phoenix. This year, my goal is to raise $10,000. Now, I can't grow out my hair to be that long in that time. That was 3.5 years of hair growth. We're not going to be able to shave my head. So I want to work with you guys, the community, to either build a product, do something so that we can help raise money for this awesome charity, help the SMF expand worldwide to help more makers like me and maybe like you that are neurodiverse that are out there. So if you are motivated and want to help, I want you to email me, youtube@3dmusketeers.com. Put in the title that you want to help raise money for the SMF, and I will do everything I can to help work with you so we can help raise money and make something really special come December. But that's really it, guys. I wanted to thank you all for coming out, sticking around till the end of this. Of course, big thank you to all of our channel member supporters whose names are listed right next to me at the $5 tier and higher. Those are the awesome people that help make these videos possible. And if you want to join them, hey, links are down below. And at the $10 tier and higher, you get to come hang out with us in our private Discord server. We love helping this community, and anyone that's in that server knows we do a whole lot of helping. Right below me will be the entire PrintFixFriday series where you can see fails and how we fix them. Or actually, that will be Smurf Day 1. The last video in timeline from when I had long hair, but not the final video for when I actually had long hair. That is still to come. So if you want to see that, get subscribed, leave a like. That's all I have for you all today. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one.